A news day does not always explode. Sometimes it just sits heavy in your chest because it shows exactly where the Patriots are still vulnerable. The pressure in Foxborough right now runs straight through a pass rush with unanswered questions, a hole at tight end, a cornerback fighting back from a brutal injury, and an offensive line that still has to prove real maturity. If you feel this team being judged by its own standard, hit that like button. Today is about urgency, recovery, and pride. Gabe Jacuz's absence cannot be brushed off like some random June detail, because when a team gets close to training camp still searching for answers off the edge, every bit of silence starts to feel heavier. And for the Patriots, it hits twice as hard. New England is not talking about a luxury position, an extra piece, or a player who is only supposed to fight for bottom-of-the-roster snaps. Pass rush already looks like one of the weakest areas on this roster, and Jacas was drafted to step right into that conversation with energy, burst, and a real chance to earn early work. But so far, this story has not gone the way anybody wanted. He missed OTAs. He missed minicamp. He remains unsigned in mid-June. And everything around this situation gives Patriots fans that uncomfortable feeling that there is more going on here than a basic contract delay. Mike Reese brought up important details. Jacas had a cleanup procedure on his knee after dealing with a hamstring injury during the pre-draft process. And sources indicated that the Patriots and two other teams did not give him a passing grade on his physical before the draft. That is where it starts to get uncomfortable. There could be a medical discussion here. There could be a contract language dispute. One source pointed to the lack of a standard participation agreement, the kind of protection most draft picks receive so that, if they get injured before signing their first NFL contract, the team is still obligated to sign them based on their draft slot. When that becomes an obstacle, the situation stops being only about football and starts touching trust, risk, and financial protection. And look at how that hits the roster. Harold Landry has been absent. Dre'Mont Jones took advantage of the opening and impressed the coaching staff, but Jones alone does not fix the depth or erase the need for more edge pressure. Jacas was supposed to be in that group, learning, competing, feeling the pace, and understanding Mike Vrabel's standard. Instead, he is away from the field, and every missed day carries a cost that never shows up on a spreadsheet. I defend the Patriots, but defending this team also means demanding urgency when the urgency is obvious. If the medical concern is real, handle it smartly. If this is contract language, solve it like a serious organization. What cannot happen is letting a needed rookie begin his career stuck under a cloud of doubt, while this defense needs bodies, pressure, and answers before July turns into a training camp problem. Julian Hill's injury is not the kind of headline that shakes the whole league, but that is exactly the type of thing that can mess with an offensive plan if nobody pays attention early enough. Hill had just signed a 3-year deal with the Patriots, and before the season even really started taking shape, he suffered a season-ending injury. That hurts because he was not being sold as a star. He was a role player, and well-coached teams value roles. Mike Vrabel was pretty direct when he admitted that, just from a numbers standpoint in camp, tight end is probably a spot the team will need to evaluate. That did not sound like panic. It sounded like a coach looking at the full board and understanding that depth has to survive the summer. Every team has 91 players, but numbers alone do not solve a specific absence. Sometimes you have bodies. What you need is a profile. That is where Will Dissly becomes an interesting possibility. An 8-year veteran, released by the Chargers, with 96 career games, a long run in Seattle, and a clear track record of usefulness. Dissly would not arrive as the loudest name in the offense. He would arrive to do the kind of work people only notice when it is missing. Block with consistency, help in heavy formations, sell the run game, become a short area option, and show up in the red zone when defenses are worried about bigger names. And that red zone detail matters. Dissly has 15 career receiving touchdowns, and 13 of them came in the red zone. For a Patriots offense that has to turn good drives into points, that is not nothing. New England may have more talent around the quarterback. Romeo Doubs may help. I.J. Brown may help. The offense may have pieces that raise the ceiling. But near the goal line, football becomes details, angles, blocking, timing, and trust. A veteran tight end who understands that space can help more than casual fans might realize. So the strategic question is simple. Do the Patriots want to bet only on what is already in the building, or do they want to add a cheap, experienced player who can absorb a specific job right away? I look at Drake Maye and think every small layer of protection around him is worth discussing. It does not have to be a glamorous signing. Good decisions do not always come with fireworks. Some come with a veteran who holds the line, wins a physical rep, and keeps a June injury from becoming a September headache. There is a cruel part of the NFL that almost never fits neatly into the story. While the team moves forward, some players get trapped in a recovery that changes everything. Marcellas Dial Jr. is standing right in that space. In 2025, the Patriots were fortunate enough to make it through the season with a decent amount of injury luck on the way to the Super Bowl, but Dial did not get that luck. His second year ended before it ever really began, with a torn ACL in his left knee during the 10th practice of training camp. For a 6th-round pick, that is brutal. Dial did not have the luxury of being treated like an untouchable piece. He was coming off a rookie season where he played mostly on special teams, recorded 12 tackles between defense and special teams across 17 games, and forced a fumble. He was not a ready-made star, but he was the kind of athlete trying to carve out a place with speed, length, competitiveness, and a willingness to do the dirty work. The issue is that 2026 arrives with no romance attached. Dial is entering his 3rd NFL season trying to prove he can still be more than depth. The physical profile helps. Good enough size for cornerback, speed to carry vertical routes, and clear value in punt and kickoff coverage. As a former receiver, he also has some natural feel for attacking the football. But the other side of the evaluation is real. The change of direction, zone recognition, hip turn, and confidence in his processing still have to grow. Add a major knee injury to that, and the margin gets tight fast. This is the kind of battle that shapes a roster quietly. It will not dominate headlines. It will not be the loudest story of the week. But for Mike Vrabel, players like this matter because special teams, depth, and internal competition hold a long season together. Dial has to show he is back physically, that he trusts the knee, that he is not mentally behind, and that he can provide immediate value while trying to rebuild his own space. I want to feel the community on this one. Would you hold a roster spot for Dial because of the recovery and the upside, or would you make that camp battle completely open? My heart is rooting for his comeback. My head says Foxborough cannot hand out spots because of sympathy. The fair path is simple and hard. If he is healthy, prove it on the field. And if he proves it, this comeback can become a small character win inside a roster that needs stories like that. The next story hits, for me, the most sensitive nerve in the Patriots' future: the offensive line. Because you can build the defense, chase depth, debate a rookie contract, but if the protection does not grow up, everything else starts shaking. And Mike Vrabel seems to like what he saw this spring from two names carrying a lot of responsibility: Will Campbell and Jared Wilson. Vrabel talked about maturity. He said Campbell is studying the game, trying different techniques, working through different sets, using the spring the right way. That matters because an offseason without real contact can fool people, but it can also reveal mindset. The quarterback is not getting hit. The touchdowns do not count. So the value is in how a player works before the scoreboard starts judging him. And according to Vrabel, Campbell and Wilson are pushing that offensive line group. That is exactly what New England needed to hear, but it is not a reason to relax. Campbell and Wilson took heavy criticism after the Super Bowl. Campbell, a 2025 first-round pick, allowed 14 pressures in the 29-13 loss to Seattle. Wilson also struggled at left guard. When you play in Foxborough, that kind of performance does not just disappear because a new spring arrives. It becomes fuel, or it becomes a label. The good news is that the group around them has changed. Elijah Vera-Tucker arrives as a major veteran presence. Mike Onwenu remains a strong piece at right guard. Morgan Moses is at right tackle. And Caleb Lomu, taken 28th overall this year, brings direct pressure on Campbell, not just decorative backup depth. That creates a healthy environment if Campbell responds the right way. Nobody grows by being protected from competition. Offensive lines get better through competition, technique, reps, and a little bit of discomfort. Jared Wilson also steps into something huge, preparing to become the starting center in 2026. Center is not only about strength, it is communication, recognition, adjustment, control of the chaos before the snap. If he really is helping push the group, that changes the conversation. Drake Maye needs a line that speaks the same language, identifies pressure, and does not fall apart when the AFC starts testing every protection. So I take Vrabel's comments with hope, but hope with standards attached. Liking the leadership in June is good. Seeing that leadership survive in September is what separates a promise from a real rebuild. Campbell and Wilson do not need to erase the past with words. They need to turn the pain of that performance into a tougher, cleaner, more reliable line. That is when Foxborough starts to feel the new era getting structure from the inside out. When you put all four stories together, they give a pretty honest picture of where the Patriots are right now. Not everything is beautiful, not everything is solved, but this is not empty either. Gabe Jacuz shows the urgency on defense. Will Dissly represents a practical answer to a painful loss. Marcellas Dial Jr. is a reminder that recovery is also a fight for survival. And Campbell with Wilson show that the rebuild only becomes serious when the offensive line matures. That is what I want to see in Foxborough. Fewer excuses, more answers. Comment which one of these stories hits you the hardest, hit the like button, and subscribe to Patriots Club fans to keep following this ride.